Today I'm going to do the presentation of NoSQL database. Let's do a small introduction of NoSQL database. The full form of NoSQL database is not only SQL, it stores data in non-tabular format. Non-tabular format is a term to describe data that do not store in table format. There are many types of NoSQL database such as document database, graph database. NoSQL database use dynamic schemas and is used in big data and real-time web applications such as Facebook, Instagram. In this table, it shows the difference between SQL and non-SQL database. Now let's talk about the history of non-SQL database. The first non-SQL database is invented by Carlo Strozzi in 1998. After that, many non-SQL database has been invented. Here is the list of name of database and year of database was invented. Now we are going to talk about the feature of non-SQL database. Non-SQL database is a type of non-relational database. It do not present table in the form of fixed column and not required to do the normalization or relational mapping. Next, horizontal scalability. We also can call it a scale up. It is a process to increase the capacity by adding more nodes. Next, flexible schemas. A schema is a template that outlines the structure of a database. Next, easy to use interface. Easy to use interface is a user interface that allows the user to complete tasks without difficulty. Next, variety of application programming interface. So it's an interface used to communicate with database. Since there are many types of non-SQL database, the API used would be different in different type of non-SQL database. Next, distributed database. Distributed database is a database run with multiple machines. It's the database that can run with multiple machines. Next, absence of ACID. So ACID is the way to transfer the data. It normally used in normal SQL database. So ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Now we are going to talk about the type of non-SQL database. There are 6 types of non-SQL database: document database, key value database, column-oriented database, graph database, in-memory database, and time series database. So for document database, it also can call as document-oriented database or document store. It stores and queries semi-structured data. It stores the data in the document form. Each document is typically a nested structure of key and value. The value can be atomic data type or complex elements such as a list, array, nested object, or child collection. It's commonly used for blogging platform, e-commerce, real-time analytics, and content management system. So in this picture, it shows how document database store the data. Next, key value database. We also can call as key value store or key value pair. It is the simplest type of non-SQL database. Each data item is identified by unique key. It's commonly used for user preference, shopping cart, and user profile in web application. Now here is the picture of how key value database store the data. Next, column-oriented database. You also can call as white column store. It store and read data in row and are organized as a set of columns. Each row in the white column data store is identified by a unique row key. And the columns in the row are further divided into columns name and value. It is a bit similar to the tabular format of relational database like normal SQL database. It is commonly used for catalog, fraud detection, and recommendation engine. So in this picture, it shows how column-oriented database work. Next, graph database. Graph database organize data as node in a graph, focusing on the relationship between data element. It store queries highly connected data. It is commonly used in systems that map relationship like social media platform, graduation system, fraud detection system, and logistic application. In this picture, it shows that how graph database store the data. Next, in-memory database. It store and run on internal memory of a data storage like RAM. It enable minimal response times by eliminating the need to access standard disk drive. And it is commonly used for caching, messaging, streaming, and real-time analytics. Okay, so this is the last time series database. Time series database is used to store or retrieve data record that are sequenced by time. It is easy to measure how measurement or event change over time. It is commonly used in temperature reading, intraday stock price, financial trading system, and asset tracking application. Now let's talk about the advantage of NoSQL database. NoSQL database can handle large volume of data in high speed, and it can store unstructured, semi-structured, or structural data. Compared with SQL database, it only can store structural data. Next, enable easy update to schemas and field. Next, developer friendly. Since it is used using horizontal scalability, it is easy to upgrade the database by adding more machine. So, and the last, it takes a full advantage of the cloud to deliver zero downtime. Now let's talk about the advantage of not SQL. The first is lack of standardization. Since NoSQL database don't have a specific type of programming interface, it would be hard to learn if you want to use different type of NoSQL database in the same time. Next, lack of ACID compliance. This can be a drawback for application that requires strong data consistency guarantee. Next, large document size. It is because for NoSQL database, it don't require to do the normalization, so it would be many data redundancy in the database. So the lastly, lack of complex query. Now let's talk about the challenge of NoSQL. The first is backup in application consistent. All NoSQL databases have unique data model and distributed architecture. This can make it more difficult to perform backup and disaster recovery. So the last is the maturity. Like for NoSQL is new, and there are still many things can be improved in this database. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.